Today, I'm going to try to beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Emerald with only Flying type Pokemon. Flying types have historically gotten a bad rap since they're often associated with the early root bird Pokemon, which can be quite mediocre at times. But we can't forget that it's often paired with some powerhouses like the Dragon type Dragonite and Salamence. With that said, I'm hoping that today we can find a middle ground that shows what the type as a whole is capable of with this run's potential encounters, many of which I feel are quite underrated. But I do sense some major looming threats on the horizon. Let's see if we can beat Pokemon Emerald with only the first flying type we find on each route, no items in battle, level caps in place, and the battle mode on set at all times. And if we're going to be taking on a challenge this difficult, we're going to need some fuel to help push us through, don't you think? Fortunately, today's sponsor, Factor, has got us covered with delicious pre-prepared meals that show up right at your door. Seriously, it's like magic. As a gamer and content creator, I'm going to be real, I'm on my grind out here, and Factor is making my life much simpler and more stress-free. Absolutely no mess, no hassle of cooking, and ready to eat in just 2 minutes or less by popping them in the microwave. Honestly, it's kind of a no-brainer. I seriously wonder why I didn't get on this sooner. With meal preference options like keto, calorie smart, vegan, and vegetarian, and more than 27 meal options per week, there's really something for everyone. And what I love is that you can pick how many meals you want per week, and there's so much customizability whether you want to reduce the number of meals one week, modify your preferences, or even skip a week if needed, all at the click of a button. As a former varsity athlete, I value nutrition a lot, and Factor's chef-prepared meals are all made with high-quality ingredients that are dietitian approved. And take it from me, it is far more affordable and even more convenient than ordering out, since everything's in your fridge already, yet it tastes just as good. Use my link or go to go.factor75.com and use code POGSILF APR50 for 50% off your first box. Once you click, my description will live update to count up the purchases. Thanks again to Factor for sponsoring our channel, and let's get into the run. Alright, here we go. It's time to step into the Hoenn region. Dad bought you a new clock to mark our move here. Don't forget to set it.
Hey kid, you know, if your dad does nothing but remind you of your march towards inevitable death, perhaps you should get a new one.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks for the advice, Daddy Vigoroth. After getting yelled at for trying to leave when I'm literally walking towards Professor Birch to try and save him,
What do you mean, where am I going?
we get to pick our starter Pokemon, and unfortunately none of them will get the flying type, but I picked Torchic to give our rival Mudkip, as it's the only one not weak to flying and will give us the hardest challenge. Up ahead we battle May, and we got a crit on our very first attack, love to see it, and she missed her second tackle too, so we demolished her with ease. Hopefully that's a good omen for the run. Can we keep Demetrius though? I mean, he is a bird. With some Pokeballs now in hand, thanks to May's generosity, our run has officially begun, and luckily enough, we can get our first viable encounter right on Route 103, a Wingull which I catch and nickname Bubble. Bubble ends up having an impish nature which gives her plus defense and minus special attack stats, which is pretty brutal. Not only that, but there is no way to EV train special attack until after the first gym, so this is not good at all. Picking up some orange berries along the way, knowing we're really gonna need them, we then confront our dad in Petalburg. Wait a minute, did you just call me a greenhorn trainer? Yeah, keep doubting me, Dad. You know what? Bubble's gonna beat the shit out of you. We don't have to wait long for our next encounter, as on Route 104 we can find a Tailo, which I catch and nickname Chuck. Wait a minute. Its dex entry says that these things take on larger Skarmory on equal footing?
I owe you an apology, I wasn't really familiar with your game.
As it turns out, Chuck not only has the Guts ability, but also has an Adamant plus attack and minus special attack nature. Unbelievable. This thing's gonna be a monster. In the Petalburg Woods, I was searching for our next encounter when I found a Cascoon, and I was like, it would be nice if we could get a Silcoon so we don't have to get that 50% chance of evolving into the wrong thing from a Wurmple. And our very next encounter was then a Silcoon. I name him Edward, and he has a timid plus speed and minus attack nature. Both bug and flying are physical types in Gen 3, so it's bad for our same type attack bonus or stab moves, but manageable overall. Who are you people? I'm just trying to... Hello? Does anybody work here? In no time we arrive in Rustboro City, the location of the first gym, but before that, I'm gonna head east to Route 116, as we have another encounter here, Nincada, and I was going to name it Matilda, but it's male, so I tried to change it up, but didn't realize how it sounded out loud, so we're just gonna short form that to Matt, okay? Matt ends up having an adamant nature as well. perfect. Not only that, but we can also train exclusively against level 2 Poochyena to get attack EVs with little XP gains so we can min-max them. While training up, we already have a full evolution before the first gym as Edward becomes a beautiful Beautifly. Wait, is there such a thing as an ugly Beautifly? More importantly, he learns Absorb, which we might need quite badly. Why, you might ask? Well, the first gym leader is Roxanne, and of course she has to be a rock trainer. Just look at our team. This is brutal. And with a minus special attack nature Wingull, I'm not feeling too hopeful, but after a ton of planning, let's give it a shot. She leads with a Geodude, and luckily Water Gun is 4 times super effective against it and 1-hit KOs, and the same goes for her second Geodude too. A good start. However, her final Pokemon, her ace, is a Nose Pass, and straight up, there's no good way of dealing with it. My theory crafting told me that her best strat is to use Growl to lower its attack, and as I thought, she goes for Harden, as the AI tends to match your non-attacking moves, which means I can do this once more, then Growl again, but she hits a stab super effective Rock Tomb, but it does less than half after the attack drops. Not bad, but does lower our speed. We still outspeed though and land a Supersonic here, and she hits herself in confusion. Water Gun then does little damage before she hits herself again. Okay, another hit brings her to a quarter, but then she snaps out of confusion and nails us with a Rock Tomb again to just 9 HP before both our berries heal us each up to half. Now because we're playing a dangerous game here with her outspeeding now, I decide to switch into Chuck to get a little more damage.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
Now that he's -3 attack, and reset Bubble's speed this way so she can come in for the kill, but right on the switch she uses Block. Oh no, that didn't even occur to me, and somehow the AI knew exactly when we were gonna switch. I call hacks. Well, our best bet here is crit since we can hardly do any damage against it, so I go for Focus Energy, get hit to nearly half, and we do get a crit with Wing Attack to bring her into the red, then she hits us again, and we survive on just 1 HP before our berry. But now, she uses a potion. Great. Being unable to switch, all I can do is watch helplessly as we lose Chuck. Pure depression. From there though, we can send in Bubble who gets blocked as well, then after she potions yet again, since we now outspeed again, we can hit her twice, then get hit by Rock Tomb again, but survive on just 3 HP and can still outspeed to take that damn thing down. Oh man, a brutal loss of a Pokemon, but somehow we made it through. Honestly, I went through that whole thing fully prepared to lose Bubble, and I was even gonna joke about how half of Pokemon fans think Pelipper is just a flying toilet anyway, but losing a would-be adamant gut Swellow? It hurts, man. Sailing across the seas, we eventually arrive in Dewford Town where the next gym is, and before anything we can grab the Silk Scarf to boost normal moves. At least we can get the Old Rod here too though, and we can fish right here for our next encounter, a Magikarp which I nicknamed Terrence, and who also has an adamant nature. Is my game broken or something? Well, since water is special and Gyarados' move pool is trash in this game, it's not fantastic anyway, but I'll take it. The encounters aren't quite done yet though, as we can hit up the Granite Cave nearby to pick up a Zubat, which I named Gale, and who has a lax plus defense and minus special defense nature. Works for me. Reaching Steven at the end of the cave, I realize, hey, the Steel Wing TM he gives us is actually going to be useful for the first time ever. Woohoo! It's time to hit up the Dewford Gym, a fighting type one, so naturally we have a lot of answers against the trainers, and Bubble performed especially well here with the help of Wing Attack. The second gym leader is Brawly, who I'm not too scared of, but he does have some physically bulky Pokemon, and all flying moves are physical in this gen after all. With that said, we have a Pokemon that 4 times resists fighting, Edward, who I lead with against Machop. I go for Harden to raise our defense, and then he uses Bulk Up, which is actually kinda dangerous. Regardless, I know we need the defense increases, so we repeat this again, then I land a Gust for a third. Paralyzing him would be nice, but he has guts, so we keep spamming Gust until he lands a Karate Chop, but no crit thankfully, so a final attack takes him down. The incoming Metatite does have Reflect, but thankfully just went for Bulk Up, so 2 attacks take him down as he failed a Focus Punch, his only attacking move. His final Pokemon is a bulky Makuhita, who gets hit below half before his berry activates, and he did get off a Bulk Up, but we got a crit on our next attack to wipe him out and win the battle. Alrighty then, that was a much needed break following the last gym. We're off to Slateport City now, and I make sure to steal some soft sand from the little girl here, as there's clearly not enough around, as it'll be crucial for later. Sneaking past all the other trainers.
You got me.
Visiting one of the houses, this guy says maybe their nature has something to do with the stat gains of Pokemon. Huh, yeah. Still boggles my mind how it took them nearly 14 years to show us what natures did on the stat screen. After robbing the Pokemon fan club for a Soothe Bell to help with Gale's eventual friendship evolution, we get called a thief as we then steal the thief TM from a robber. Okay, this is getting way too meta for me. Unfortunately, the Sharp Beak is only available in the Safari Zone by using Thief on wild Pokemon, but you can't use Pokemon in the Safari Zone, so what? Up north, we have the scariest battle ever, a double battle against 4 total Plusle and Minun. Fortunately, they have no actual electric moves yet, but they all have berries, and this one battle took over 7 minutes to complete. Man oh man. Using the XP share we got from the Devon Corporation president, our good old Magikarp Terrence evolves into a beastly Gyarados. Should be quite the help. Not only that, but Matt also evolves into a Ninjask with speed boost, part of the reason why Adamant is so incredible, and the Shedinja that appeared in my party suddenly actually kinda spooked me. The evolutions aren't done yet though, as Gale evolves into a Golbat, giving us some more bulk and power for sure. Pushing forward on Route 110, we arrive at our next rival battle against May, the battle that has been the bane of Pokemon players' existence for many years. But oddly enough, I think we might have an easy W here. You see, she leads with a Lombre, and I can get Bubble out there to take her down in 2 wing attacks, only getting hit by an Absorb in the process. Next up is her Slugma, and yep, Water Gun does massive damage, although she did hit us hard with Rock Throw to half before another did the job. In comes her final Pokemon, her now evolved Marshtomp. We resist everything she has against us, and our Oranberry also helps, so I decide to go with Supersonic to confuse and progressively chip her down with wing attacks, although she did eventually nail us with a crit into the red. From there though, we can just switch in Terrence to land 2 tackles for the victory. Who knew? The battle that stumped millions for decades just needed Wingull. 2 roads, one above and one below. A road for each people and Pokemon. Perhaps that is right and fair. Yeah. And of course, we've infested their road too. The whole path is filled with people. Arriving in Mauville City, I am feeling terrified, as we have a wild gym leader battle coming up that I don't know how to deal with if I'm honest.
I don't know. I never thought I'd get this far.
Making sure to challenge the Winstraight family to get the Macho Brace for extra EVs, as I have a feeling we're gonna need them. I realize we can also finally train our special attack EVs against Oddish on a route nearby. During the grind, we have a wicked evolution as Gale fully evolves into a Crobat. Guess that means she finally loves us. While theory crafting for the next gym, I realized that the best way for Edward to output damage is actually the Psychic TM, so after a long game corner grind, we can pick it up. And with that, after what felt like years of planning, I don't think I've ever felt so defeated before a battle in all the Nuzlockes we've done, but let's find out how I did. The third gym leader is Watson, the electric type trainer. Need I say more? You can't even cheese him with evasion since his Pokemon have Shockwave which can't miss. He leads with a Voltorb and I get, yep, Gyarados out there, 4 times weak to electric, but I think I have a bit of a plan. I hit him with Tackle for half, and then he hits a Shockwave, and it smashes us right to half as well, before another Tackle takes him down. And I purposefully had Terrence high on XP so he leveled up, which is allowed in Hardcore Nuzlocke. You just have to be at or below the level cap when the battle starts, so that he learns Dragon Rage for a guaranteed 40 HP damage, which smashes his Electrike to the red. Then he just uses Howl. Nice. Now after he potions, we can hit him twice more for the KO. A good start. But everything collapses around me as he sends in his Manectric next, not Magneton as I was planning for. Dragon Rage is our only way to do significant damage on Magneton, but now what do we do? Well, nothing can switch in, so he instantly outspeeds and devastates Terrence with a Shockwave. Ouch. Here I send in Matt, and at least we do outspeed, but Cut does hardly anything, and Shockwave immediately KOs him too. Oh no, this is not good. Now I send in Edward, as he hits a Thunder Wave, but our Cherry Berry activates to heal us, and we land a Psychic, but it only brings him to a quarter before his Berry then activates. Ugh. Shockwave then smashes us down to 8 HP in the red before we land another, and we get a critical hit to take him down. Oh man, we're still in this. But now, in comes Magneton with no Dragon Rage to help us. Dear lord, I can't switch again, so I just go for Stun Spore hoping to paralyze him, and we do get it off, but he makes it through to take Edward down too. This is devastating. With just 2 Pokemon remaining, I come up with an absolute last-ditch plan by sending Gale out. I go for Supersonic right away, and we land it to confuse him. I'm hoping he just stays paralyzed or confused, and he does hurt himself. Whew. Now, I start landing Bite, which does like nothing, but between confusion, paralysis, and the flinch chance, he shouldn't be able to move much. But on the first turn, he lands a damn Thunder Wave. Why? This goes back and forth like crazy, and eventually we stayed paralyzed as he snapped out of confusion, but stayed paralyzed. He then made it through for the Shockwave, but we survived on a third before our berry, but then we stayed paralyzed and got clobbered by another one. No, we were so close. Well, it's time for our last Pokemon, a damn Wingull, 4 times weak to Electric. Great. I hit a Water Gun, but it barely doesn't KO on a Sliver. Then he makes it through and hits a Thunder Wave, but I had attached a Cherry Berry to heal us, but then he Super Potions. We're doomed. I hit a Water Gun for a bit of damage, then go for Supersonic to confuse him again. He hits himself in confusion on the next turn, then we hit another Water Gun to half, then he hits himself again. Oh man. Another hit brings him to the red. We just need him to stay confused or paralyzed just one more time. And he does, so a final Water Gun miraculously gets the job done. No friggin' way. 3rd badge acquired, and by the skin of our teeth. I have no words. We have just 1 Pokemon remaining, and back at our PC, well, this just hurts to look at. Rest in peace, my loves. Do we continue this run? Is it even worth it? Let's give it a try. We've come this far. After catching a Meryl as our HM Mon for Rock Smash to get strength, we can also put the XP share on it since it's not being sent into battle to help us not overlevel given that we only have 1 Mon. On the way to our next destination, Bubble finally evolves into a Pelipper, the level after Watson's cap, of course, but we might yet be saved as up ahead on Route 113 we can grab a new encounter. This time, a Skarmory which I catch and nickname Argenta. It took 2 Great Balls and 16 damn Pokeballs to catch this thing. Argenta ends up having a bold plus defense and minus attack nature, which is half good and half bad. Given the state we're in, I make sure to EV train her like a madman. Reaching Fall Arbor Town makes me even sadder as the move tutor here could have been helpful if we had any damn Pokemon. And the same goes for the kid who gives you the Dig TM, would have been great for our Adamant Ninjask. But some more hope does arrive in the form of Route 114 where we can find a Swablu to add to our team, who I nicknamed Bluey and who has a Rash plus special attack and minus special defense nature, not terrible, and the natural cure ability too. Cool. It's Meteor Falls madness time as 2 evil teams go at it, and I'm in here just enjoying the scenery and wondering how impact craters formed indoors. Unless there's a giant hole above us. Climbing to the summit of Mount Chimney, we're faced with a battle against Team Magma leader Maxie, and I think we're actually reasonably well set up for this. He leads with an Intimidate Mightyena, so I get out our newly evolved Bubble. Water Gun does a quarter, and then he tries Sand Attack, but Bubble has the Keen Eye ability, so it doesn't work. And we can steadily wear him down, although he did use a potion at one point, so we got brought below half before our berry, and then took him down. In comes Zubat next, and I want to conserve Bubble, so I get Argenta out there, who absolutely eats up anything this thing can throw at us, and takes him down in 4 pecks after he had healed. In comes his final Pokemon though, Camerupt. Quite a threat for Argenta, but I wanted to bait the fire move as I switch in Bubble, although he just used Focus Energy anyway. So a stab, 4 times damage Water Gun barely doesn't KO surprisingly, but he could only hit us with Tackle Low before another did the job. Pretty solid overall. Avoiding the massive temptation to join the lovely ladies in the hot springs in Lava Ridge, let's hit up the gym. And as I'm sure you can imagine, Bumble tore through the trainers quite easily with Water Gun, although I wish we did have a better water move. The 4th gym leader is Flannery, the fire-type specialist, and I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch on this one. Although her Numel was of course an easy one-hit KO, and the same went for her Slugma too. Then in comes her Camerupt, which survives one in the red amazingly, and gets up a sunny day. That's not good at all. Knowing she'll heal though, I go for another to bring her below half. Then I use Protect to help stall the sun out, then hit her with another attack to take her down. In comes her final Pokemon, Torkoal, and Sun Boosted Overheat would really hurt, but I can use Protect again to stall out the final turn of Sun. Let's go. Water Gun does a third before she hits a Body Slam and gets a crit, but no paralysis. Another brings her to the red, then she just went for Sunny Day again, but then healed fully. Now in the sun, Water Gun hardly does anything. Uh-oh, stalling it out with Protect again, I'm running out of room, so I hit her again to half, then she switches to Body Slam again thankfully. What in the world is happening? Our Oranberry then helps us, I Protect again as she tried to overheat, and then the sun goes down again, so from there 2 more Water Guns do the job as she hit us below half with a Body Slam in the process. A bit more complicated than you'd imagine it would be for a water type, but Protect definitely got us through. Wow, May, for me? Are you sure I can handle them? The Go Goggles? I don't know, that sounds pretty dangerous. You weirdo. Alright, it's Mirage Tower time. Come on, dead animals, I'm coming for you. Is one of the fossils an Archeops? Please? As always, I forgot to grab the damn meteorite, so I do so before returning it to Cosmo for the return TM, which I think is going to be unfathomably important for us a bit later. With that, it's time for the Petalburg gym to challenge none other than our father, Norman, the normal type specialist. With some preparation done, it's time to do battle. Norman leads with a Spinda, and I get Argenta out there to begin with. Air Cutter does less than half unfortunately, but for some reason he goes for Psybeam, which does like nothing. Our next attack barely doesn't KO on a Sliver, then he confuses us with Teeter Dance. He then heals up fully, but our next Air Cutter gets a high roll, and we make it through on the next turn to KO. In comes Vigoroth next, and this is the beauty. His Pokemon can barely touch Argenta at all as we snap out of confusion and hit him twice to take him down as well. Then in comes Linoon, and even if this thing decided to belly drum, I'm not terribly concerned as Argenta resists normal and is a physically defensive beast, being barely brought to half before a berry even though we missed an attack and got crit. Then in comes his final Pokemon, the beastly Slacking. Knowing I eventually want to switch, I initially stay in and hit him once, but out of nowhere he uses Counter of all things, and we survive on just 13 HP in the red. Sheesh, talk about overconfidence. From here though, I can switch in Bubble on his Truant turn, and then we have the perfect counter of our own here as we can use Protect on every single one of his attacking turns. Then attack him on his loafing turns, and well, we're entirely invulnerable this way, being able to eventually take him down after 3 minutes of hammering him for our 5th badge. For winning, we get the Facade TM. Sure would be great for a gut swallow, wouldn't it? Although we get a wicked reward from Wally's dad, the Surf HM, finally being able to upgrade our water move on Bubble hugely. With the help of Surf, we can now access the abandoned ship, which we can explore to eventually find a free Ice Beam TM. Much better than grinding the game corner for it, I can tell you that much. Some kid in here then says, "Isn't it fun here? I get excited just being here." Oh god, psychopath alert, he's celebrating the deaths of hundreds on the boat crash. Let's get away from him. Whoa, okay, I don't think I ever realized that there was someone under the bridge here. I guess I was too busy zooming down the bridge for a best time like this. Get out of the way! With Surf in hand, we can now access Route 119 where we finally get a new encounter, this time a Tropius, which I catch and nickname Haley, and who has a quirky neutral nature. Pretty ideal actually. After taking care of Team Aqua admin Shelly with our new encounter who came in very handy with her grass typing, and even Bluey playing a bit of a role too, we get the gift cast form from the scientist, netting us the Mystic Water to boost Bubble's Surf even further. Crossing the bridge, we run into May, who challenges us to another battle. And yet again, I think we have quite a solid answer to her, except this time I lead with our newly caught Haley. Her Lombre's best move against us is Swift, so this gives me the opportunity to power up our special attack with Growth, then being able to take her down in 2 Razor Leafs. In comes Slugma next, which would normally be a big threat, however because it's raining, Haley can just tank it out with a few strengths. Finally, her Marshtomp is of course an easy one-hit KO with a +2 stab 4x super effective Razor Leaf for the victory. And more importantly, the Fly HM she gives us, which is going to upgrade our stab on quite a few Pokemon in the end. With that, we arrive in one of my favorite towns in Pokemon, Fortree. Zooming right on through, a long adventure brings us to the next encounter area, the Safari Zone. In Area 3, all the way up to the northwest, we have the best chance of getting the encounter I want as there are 2 possible ones. And we get it, a Doduo which I catch and nickname Evan. Evan has a bashful neutral nature and early bird too, which is the better of the 2 abilities that it gets. Quickly visiting the scorched slab nearby, we can get the sunny day TM, which might come in handy later. After teaching Bubble the ice beam TM and teaching Evan return and EV training the hell out of him, it's time for the Fortree gym. Against the mandatory double battle in here, I actually found a bit of a sweet strat, as I could use Fly with Tropius and Protect on Bubble. Then, while Haley's in the air, use Surf to hit both the opposing Pokemon. Although, Swallow using double teams certainly wasn't helpful. The 6th gym leader is Winona, our flying type arch nemesis. We're in a funny situation where both of our teams are kind of equally effective against each other, but I come up with what I thought was the best plan. She leads with a Swablu, so I get Bubble out there so we can immediately take it down with 1 Ice Beam. As planned, this baits out her Tropius, which is 4 times weak to it and gets knocked out as well. Then in comes her own Pelipper. I decide to stay in since we have a neutral move against her, but she does confuse us. Not wanting to deal with that, I switch into Evan, who's unevolved, since I want to wait for Drill Peck, as he doesn't learn it until 10 levels later once evolved. Tri-Attack does big damage, but not quite enough, but then she missed her Supersonic. So after she healed, we could take her down in 2 more, even getting the burn for good measure. Then in comes a tough threat, her Skarmory. Our best bet here is going back into Bubble, who tanks Aerial Ice well due to our defensive presence, and Surf amazingly does over half, so 2 of them take that thing down. Just about the only effective way we had of doing so. In comes our final Pokemon, Altaria, which merely Dragon Dances and has like no way to hit us hard, and 4 times super effective Ice Beam just barely doesn't KO on a sliver, so after she Hyper Potions, we bring her down again, then get hit by a Dragon Breath below half, but no paralysis, so another does the trick and gets us the Feather Badge. That's right, we're the flying masters around here. With the level cap lifted, we now have some powerful team upgrades as Bluey finally evolves into an Altaria, and also after learning the Drill Peck move, Evan evolves into a Dodrio. And I kinda want to demonstrate why you should never underestimate this thing as a Gen 1 flying type. Hello, May. I need to get into the department store to buy some TMs, so shall we? That's right, Evan the Dodrio is able to outspeed and 1-hit KO every single one of her Pokemon with Silk Scarf boosted 102 power stab return at max friendship. This thing is a straight up monster. On Route 123, we can pick up a great TM for Haley, Giga Drain for some stab recovery. Deep inside the Magma hideout, we encounter Maxie and the legendary Groudon, who... wait a minute, does that mean Groudon's a flying type? Not pleased at our antics, Maxie challenges us to battle, and now having Surf, Bubble is able to do the job that I always knew she was capable of. Destroying his Mightyena with Surf, being the perfect counter due to Keen Eye and Intimidate not mattering too, 1-hit KOing Camerupt with ease, and also being able to duke it out with his Crobat since we now have Ice Beam, eventually emerging victorious with half health remaining. Ooh, a Master Ball. Wait, it just occurred to me, you can't hear the creatures that are inside the ball, right? I'm gonna use this on my cat. Arriving in the beautiful Moss Deep City, I realized something. In Emerald only, there's this whole mini-game house, and oh boy, Dodrio berry picking? And it requires a Dodrio, well, we're in luck. I have one. Let's just head over here to get registered and... what? F*** you. In the Moss Deep Gym, Evan annihilates all of the trainers with ease, as might be expected, and in no time we get to the 7th gym leaders, Tate and Liza, for a double battle. It took a while to plan this one out as they have a lot of threats like Calm Mind, 90 power stab psychic, and even things like Sunny Day and Flamethrower, but I decide to lead with Argenta and Haley against their Xatu and Claydol. My goal is to focus fire on the Xatu initially, as Calm Mind is quite dangerous if left unchecked, and with Haley being able to avoid attacks in the air, and apparently Argenta's Steel typing baiting Claydol into using Earthquake funnily enough, we take Xatu down in a few attacks, taking no damage. Problem is, in comes Solrock next, which has Sunny Day and Flamethrower, so I switch Haley out for Bubble and hit Solrock hard with super effective Steel Wing. They do get Sunny Day up though, and Solrock's berry heals it hugely, but both Argenta and Bubble outspeed it for the Ice Beam and Steel Wing combo KO. And Claydol keeps using Earthquake, this is hilarious. If it was using Psychic, we might be in some trouble. Once Lunatone comes out, I get Bubble to Ice Beam Claydol with Argenta in the air, and Lunatone fortunately misses Hypnosis so we can take down Claydol in 2 attacks. With Lunatone being all that's left now, I can merely protect with Bubble and smash him with Steel Wing from Argenta, stalling the sun out this way too, and a final Steel Wing knocks it out to end the battle. Pretty fortunate about Claydol earthquaking repeatedly, I just can't get over that. In the Moss Deep Space Center, we have a double battle with Steven against Maxie and an admin, and here I merely tacked on the Mystic Water to Bubble, again not being able to be sand attacked, and the consecutive double attacks gradually took down every single Pokemon until they were left with nothing but a Crobat. And to add insult to injury, our Ice Beam froze the damn thing, so we ended the battle taking literally 0 damage. That's a first. Although, Steven did lose his Metang. Rip and pepperoni. Back at his house, Steven gives us the Dive HM and says, in certain places it won't be possible to surface. So what, am I just gonna drown? Picking up the Earthquake TM, which you wouldn't imagine a flying team could make use of, but we will. We then have a battle against Team Aqua leader Archie. Honestly, there's not a whole ton he can do to us without being extremely lucky, as Bubble handles his Mightyena with Surf, his Crobat with Ice Beams, then finally his Sharpedo was dominated by Haley with Giga Drain. Not too shabby. Hitting up the oft-forgotten Pacific Log Town, there is very little here besides its cool design, but we can pick up a second return TM which should come in handy. Hey, guys, could you please stop fighting? It's scaring the Magikarp down below. Excuse me, sir, the big ancient Pokemon are scaring the Magikarp again.
They're doing what? Those sons of... Hey, would you two cut it out?
With that compelling storyline complete, it's time to take on the 8th gym leader, Juan, the water specialist. With an immensely powerful and bulky team, I'm a bit nervous for this one, but here goes nothing. He leads with a love disc as I get Haley out there. He does confuse us, but I had attached a Persimberry, then I get Sunny Day Up, which not only weakens water moves, but activates our Chlorophyll speed boost and gives us 1-turn Solar Beam, which then destroys both it and his Celio that comes in next. But then, he sends in Kingdra with Ice Beam. So much for the sweep. I switch in Bubble as he uses Double Team, then start trying to wear him down with our neutral Ice Beam, but we keep missing and he's hitting us hard with Ice Beam of his own. Eventually, I decide to switch into Argenta, who tanks Ice Beam well, but eventually is outdone as well as I tried sending Bubble back out, but to no avail. Suddenly, we're in a very dangerous situation as all of our full health Pokemon are weak to Ice and 2 of them are 4 times weak. Not good. The only play, I guess, is to send in our normally weak Pokemon, Evan, who survives an Ice Beam on just 25 HP, and thanks to the work of Bubble and Argenta, he's now in a range of a return KO. In comes his Whiscash next, and here I send in Haley, who unfortunately gets confused by Water Pulse off the bat, and not only that, but because he's slower, he kept using Rain Dance after our Sunny Day. If we could even get it off after confusion. Eventually though, we succeed and take him down with the 4 times damage massive power Giga Drain to get the health back, and of course the same goes for his Crawdaunt thanks to the spikes laid down by Argenta. All 8 badges acquired. A brief trip lands us in Evergrande City, and looking ahead to our battle with Wally, I was like, how the hell are we gonna deal with a Magneton again? But then it occurred to me, we still have one more encounter. With Waterfall, we're able to now access the depths of Meteor Falls, and only at the dead end of this one room can you find not only the Dragonclaw TM, but also a Bagon, which I catch and nickname Bama. Bama ends up having a calm plus special defense and minus attack nature, which is a big oof. Regardless, she evolves into a Shelgon after I had her learn Dragonclaw at level 49, as otherwise it's after the level cap that you get it. And some more training eventually evolves her into a beastly Salamence. Man, I love this thing. Our last test is Victory Road, during which we run into Wally, whose hopes and dreams are about to be crushed again as I set Bama up with wicked coverage. His Altaria went down to a Stab Dragonclaw, Delcatty to a super effective Brick Break from the TM we got from Sutopolis, Magneton to a super effective Flamethrower, Roselia went down to one as well, and finally his Gardevoir doesn't yet have the Fairy type thankfully, so a few crunches between him healing netted us the win, only taking a Future Sight in the process. With that behind us, we arrive at our final destination, the Hoenn Pokemon League. After fulfilling the rest of our EVs and getting any remaining items and TMs we need, it's time for the Elite Four. The first Elite Four member is Sydney, the Dark-type trainer. I had a plan for him, but his Mightyena lead with Intimidate made things a bit trickier. Essentially what I had to do was lead with Bubble, protect to see if he'd Sand Attack despite our ability, which he did, then just stall out until he changed moves. I then switched to Evan once he does, but he went back to Sand Attack, and we can't allow lowered accuracy. So I switch back and forth until he finally uses Crunch upon getting Evan in, then from there, because of the frailty of his team, can outspeed and one-hit KO every single one of them, with a Mega Power Stab Silk Scarf boosted return. Evan, you legend. The second Elite Four member is Phoebe, the Ghost-type expert, who's a bit trickier than you might think with things like Thunderbolt and Ice Beam. Against her Dusclops, I lead with Bomba for Intimidate, followed by the Black Glass's boosted Crunch, but it barely doesn't KO. That's okay though, as at least she'll waste a full restore, and we got the special defense drop too, so just one more does her in. In comes her second, more powerful Dusclops, the one with Ice Beam. So I switch in Argenta, but we got frozen on the switch, but we thaw out immediately. Whew. From there, we battle it back and forth with Steel Wing and eventually emerge victorious with the help of our Citrus Berry. Then, in comes her Banette, and I assume our baiting of the one with Thunderbolt went well as I switch into Haley, and it did as it's neutral against her. Now I can proceed to set up Sunny Day, and between Solar Beam and Giga Drain helping with recovery, take down 2 of her Banettes. Although the second one's Grudge got rid of all her power points, so for Sableye I had to get Evan out there who's immune to Ghost, and we nailed her with a few Drill Pecks through her healing and double teaming to get the W. Up next, the third Elite Four member, Glacia, who, yup, has an ice team. I spent forever theory crafting as to just how we can make this possible, and I'm gonna be honest, there is no surefire way at all, as I know even Argenta can't handle her whole team. So I lead with Evan, and against her first Celio, I know we need to avoid Encore, so I go for Return on it, and it's a range to KO, but we don't get it. But as I thought, she just set up Hail. Whew, close one. But she does full restore, so we can hit it twice in a row to take it down. In comes a Glalie next, and it's another range to KO, but I have no choice. We need to do as much damage with Evan as possible, and it barely doesn't KO in the red, and Evan gets slammed by an Ice Beam to be taken down. Ouch. From here though, with some damage done, I'm feeling confident about getting Argenta out there, who takes it down from there. In comes her second Celio now, and I decide to go for Sandstorm here, but she uses Hail. Of course, I cannot have that constant damage though, so I go for it again, and she misses a Blizzard. Yes! From here I use Fly, but she started the Hail while I was up in the air. Ugh. We then get hit hard by Blizzard and Hail, but our berry helps. I then use Steel Wing, but she's left on a quarter, but then she misses Blizzard again. A final Steel Wing can then take her down with us at half, and in comes her second Glalie. I go for Steel Wing right away, but it barely doesn't KO in the red. Then she hits an Ice Beam, and we survive on 16 HP in the red. After she heals, I then hit another one to the red, and at this point, knowing Argenta's fate as we can't switch anything in, I go for Sandstorm as our last act as we get taken down by another. From here, I get Bubble in, who can outspeed and take her down with Surf. But then, in comes her final Pokemon, her ace, a monster Walrein. And I don't know how to deal with it. I go for Protect to get it some Sandstorm damage, then hit a Surf, but it hardly does anything. Ice Beam then hits us below half, but our berry brings us just above. I hit another to bring her below half, then Ice Beam hits us to just 8 HP as the Sandstorm subsides. Sheesh. Her Citrus Berry healed her, but of course I cannot switch, so I go for another, and we do get a crit, but not enough as our starter gets taken down by Body Slam. Kind of unfortunate that we got it then, as we didn't need that crit anyway, as now we can send in Bomba and Brick Break it into oblivion. Good riddance. That was a rough battle with 2 team losses, but at least we're still in the game. The last Elite Four member is Drake, the Dragon Expert, and I went through the ridiculous versus Secret rematch method in Meteor Falls to get the Dragon Fang to boost Bomba's dragon moves just for this battle, as it alone gives us the range to be able to, sweep through his entire team with Dragon Claw. We had an 85% chance to KO Salamence, but got a crit anyway, so I'm glad we didn't have to risk it, although we would have survived a non-crit anyway. Finally a little breather, and we're gonna need it, because it's time. The final battle, the champion of the Hoenn region, Wallace the Water Expert, with tons of ice moves on his team, and we have just 3 Pokemon remaining, all of which are 4 times weak to ice. I strategized for what felt like an eternity, and I'm gonna be honest, I see no way forward, but let's take our best plan and leave it all on the table. And of course, he leads with a Wailord with Blizzard of all things, and I get Haley out there whose calcs tell me we should be able to survive it, and we do on 4 HP. Okay, even closer than I thought, before we get up the Sunny Day. Now we outspeed due to Chlorophyll, and I can blast that thing into the Netherworld with a Miracle Seed boosted Solar Beam. But then, in comes Milotic next. Oh no, I was anticipating Tentacruel. Well, nothing else to do but hit it with a Solar Beam, which does 3/4, then Haley gets taken down. Here I send in Bomba, and I forgot about his damn Citrus Berry. According to my calcs, Dragon Claw won't KO from here, so I decide to risk it all and go for Crunch to try and avoid putting him in the full restore range. Then she hits an Ice Beam, but we survive on 4 HP. Oh man, it all depends if we triggered the heal. And we didn't, so a Dragon Claw then takes down that huge threat. But in comes Tentacruel next, and with it having Ice Beam as well, I cannot switch. So I stay in and we hit it with a Dragon Claw for a third before he actually Sludge Bombs us and takes down Bomba. Well, this is it. We're on our final Pokemon, Bluey, who luckily I taught the Earthquake TM at least so we can take down Tentacruel from that range. But then in comes Gyarados, which just has to have Intimidate, and I know that Dragon Dance is our only hope here as he has 3 Pokemon remaining, and I was hoping he'd Hyper Beam here, but he Surfs. Interesting. I get another Dragon Dance off, then he does the same suddenly. Uh-oh. Knowing we can't risk any more, I go for return, and it does less than half. No, not good. That means I have to Dragon Dance again, and he does it. He goes for the Hyper Beam. But we survive on literally 3 HP and can return him into oblivion after that last power-up. Oh man, what is happening? In comes his Ludicolo next, the thing I was planning to set up against if things had gone my way, but now I'm forced to attack him, and we do get the one-hit KO. Well, it's time for his final Pokemon, Whiscash, and at +2, we just don't have the power. It would only be a crit that could win this for us, but we don't get it as a final Surf takes down Bluey and ends our run. We just straight up ran out of room, but damn, you know, after losing our Gut Swallow so early on, I'm honestly really happy we even made it this far. Almost beat the champion with some really tough type trainers out there. Shout out to all our warrior Pokemon for their valiant efforts. It was really fun working with such a cool variety of Mons. As always, make sure to subscribe to join the Sylph Army and get us to 250,000, and I'll see you guys next time for another challenge video.